Hi, I'm Karlin Borisenko. In early 2020, I was the knitting Democrat who accidentally went viral on the internet for going to a Trump rally and then left the party. I became the conservative darling, was on all the shows, traveled around the country, and then realized that conservatives were no better than Democrats. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that both political tribes are two sides of the same coin. But it wasn't all bad. On my journey, I became obsessed with understanding the woke ideology and the culture war. I broke the story of the city of Seattle doing segregated training with its employees.
How bad has this stuff become? The city of Seattle has now put out, I'm not kidding you, this is according to Dr. Carolyn Borisenko, who's an organizational psychologist. The city of Seattle asked its white employees to voluntarily spend a day off in a training about their internalized racial superiority.
I broke the story that led to the first ever federal lawsuit against critical race theory in the schools. I broke the Coke Be Less White story, one of the biggest anti-woke stories of all time. It got over 30 million views. Coca-Cola's corporate headquarters even had to change their outgoing voicemail.
Throughout the past few days, you may have seen inaccurate reporting on the content of our recently launched diversity, equity, and inclusion training program.
I exposed the schools in Burlington, Vermont for grooming middle school children live on the internet. They called me an unwoke cult leader for that. And the Vermont Human Rights Commission slandered me publicly as being a hate channel. I even got called a hero in Breitbart for exposing that the Washington Post was writing a hit piece on Christopher Rufo. I have broken story after story after story about what's going on in the public schools, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to autistic sex education, to the Department of Education in Michigan, literally training teachers all over the state how to groom children. I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. I host a podcast all about fighting back, and I'm downloading all of my knowledge to you on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. The world is a crazy place. We are literally surrounded by cults on all sides. On this show, we're going to do a deep dive into all aspects of the culture war, and I will show you the dark, dystopian underbellies on both sides. Here are the commitments I'll make to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will always bring you receipts. And if you stick with me, I promise you will see the world differently. Welcome to the cult. Please mount that like button for me and subscribe if you feel so inclined. What up, everyone? Happy Thursday. It's Thursday, right? Is this the longest week ever? Are we in the longest week of the... It's already dark out. I know I'm wearing sunglasses, but it's still dark out. I don't know. This week is going by so slow. Anyone else having that feeling? Anyway, guys, welcome to The Cult. The Cult is a show that I stream Monday through Friday on this here YouTube channel, on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, and on Rumble, where we talk about all aspects of the culture war, but with a heavy emphasis on the far left, because the far left are the ones that are in control. The far left are the ones that are running everything. They are running the table. They control all the institutions, yada, 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 yada. And so what we do is we deep dive into their presentations. We watch the big ones. We watch the diversity trainings. We watch the college classes. We watch the conferences. We watch the things that no one else on the internet is patient enough to sit down and watch, because we realized a long ass time ago now that if we just sat our asses down and got some knitting and relaxed and let the left say whatever it is that they want to say, that they will tell us exactly what they're doing. And it's not even that hard to find it. Once you figure out where to look, they will tell you exactly what they're doing. And so that is what we do on this here channel. Stony Baloney says, you should add the wiki to your intro. There's a lot of updating I need to do to that intro. And sadly, updating the intro to my show is not, it's just not high on the priority list right now. It's just not. Sorry, Stony Baloney. Someday, I promise, someday I will get around to it. Just not right now. Oh no, Kristen, your company laid off 2,300 people today. Well, I'm glad to hear you're okay. Listen, man, here's the best advice I'm ever going to give anyone. And I say this as someone who has coached an awful lot of people who have been fired from jobs or laid off or what have you. Use it to your advantage, man. Losing a job can turn into the best thing that ever happened to you as long as you get out there and you don't feel sorry for yourself and you find another one. Every single person that I've ever coached through being let go from a company has ended up in a better job that they were happier in, making more money. So just use it as an opportunity. You can always find another job. You don't want to be someplace that doesn't want you anyway. It'll all be fine. All right, guys, we have a special treat today. Now, this starts as something a little disappointing because a couple of weeks ago, I became aware of this organization. Now, you guys know we are constantly going down these rabbit holes to find all these leftist organizations. We're documenting them in a wiki. We're sourcing all this material so that we can give you primary source information that no one else on the internet is showing you. And a couple weeks ago, I became aware of this here socialist activist organization, the National LGBTQ Task Force. And I had never heard of this one before. And their goals are to queer democracy, queer equity, queer faith, and build power. Is anyone comfortable with that? I'm not comfortable with that. And additionally, we found out that they have an in-person conference. And that in-person conference is quite literally happening right now. It's happening currently, literally as we speak in New Orleans. And a couple weeks ago, I was like, damn, it would have been really great if I could have gone to New Orleans to go undercover at this conference. Sadly, I didn't find out about it until a couple weeks ago. This is why we need to start logging all this stuff in a useful way so we can plan way far ahead for these things. But sadly, I didn't have the resources to do it. In my ideal world, I would like to be able to get to a place where I have enough people supporting the work I'm doing. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, where when I find out about something at the last minute, I literally can just get on a plane and go, but I'm not in that place yet. I still, I'm doing just fine, but I don't have the resources to just drop everything and get on a plane. I actually have to plan for things. I have to make sure the money's there to do it. I have to make sure the time's there to do it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is a dream that we can have in the future, I guess. So it was a little bit disappointing to me that I couldn't get it together to actually go to the conference in person because I was fully prepared to do that. The schedule looked crazy. But that doesn't mean we can't get a peek into what happened. We can't get the full thing. It's something we can shoot for next year, but we can get a peek into what happened. Because of course, the National LGBTQ Task Force has a YouTube channel. And on that YouTube channel, they are streaming just a select few of their conference presentation. So this is actually probably really a good thing. We're going to get a sense of if this conference is something that we should pay attention to in the future or if it's just not worth it. Now, because they have a giant ass banner that says queer across the top, I have an inkling that this might be a crazy conference. I have an inkling. Yeah, I mean, Laura Loomer is doing a much different thing than I am. Obviously, she's covering something that's very hot in the news, but I am a little bit jealous that Laura Loomer can put a GoFundMe out there and raise $10,000 in a couple hours to get her to come to New Hampshire. Good for her. No jealousy or anything. I think it's great. I just wish I could do that too. But that's okay. We're still doing our thing, guys. We're still doing our thing. I'm well aware that what I'm doing is niche and weird. And not everyone's going to get it, what Laura Loomer is doing. And again, I really appreciate the work she's doing. I have no shade for Laura Loomer right now. I think Laura Loomer, well, she's a nutcase. She's our nutcase. She's our kind of nutcase. And so I have nothing but respect for her. But I am doing a crowdfunding thing, and I'm going to tell you more about that in a second. But at least we are able to get a sneak peek into the plenary session. And just today, this was hours ago, guys. This aired 6 hours ago. So you guys are going to be basically the first people on the internet to see this. It's gotten 40 views. We already have more than 40 viewers. So this presentation has already gotten more views online than the actual session has on their YouTube page. And the session we're going to watch is one of my favorite topics, a topic that we do focus on, which is gender ideology. It is called Trans and Gender Non-Conforming, liberation. Anytime you see the word liberation, you are dealing with socialists. At the intersections, plenary. A conversation about building trans power, leading trans action, and celebrating trans joy at the intersections of various progressive movements. These are not progressives, these are socialists. Don't let them fool you. At the intersections of various progressive movements with organizers, activists, and leading advocates working on climate justice, reproductive health rights and justice, immigration, worker rights, and more. Now I'm wondering, why do they have a star next to trans? That's what I'm wondering. Could it be that they don't really mean trans, but they do mean queer? Well, no, that is the wrong answer. That is completely incorrect. And let me explain why. See, this is, again, guys, I know I rag on conservatives all the time, but you guys just make it way too easy for me to do it. Because I hear this all the time. Oh, the numbers. No one's watching content. No, they don't have the numbers. Why are you even worried about this? No one's watching it. They don't have any numbers. You guys are looking at YouTube views and you are evaluating something's effectiveness based on YouTube views. Guys, the YouTube audience is secondary to the real audience of this conference. The real audience of this conference are there right now in person. These events are always sold out. And I've been to conservative conferences. I've presented at conservative conferences. Not only do conservative conferences not sell out, but even when you are on the main stage at a conservative conference, no one goes to the presentations. Do you want to know why? Because at conservative conferences, the only thing that people really go for is the networking events and the after hours activities. Those are all packed. But does anyone actually come to the sessions where you're supposed to be communicating with each other and learning things? Nope. They really don't. I once did a conference. I once did a conference where I was on the main stage with Chris Rufo, James Lindsay, and this guy Evan, who wrote a book about like woke stuff. And it was like all four of us on the main stage. You would think that might, like, maybe not so much me, but like definitely Rufo and James Lindsay. You would think that would be a pretty big draw, right? There wasn't anyone in the audience for that. There wasn't anyone. It was like a handful of people at best. But you know what was packed? The party. After the event, everyone was at the goddamn party or everyone was at the bar hanging out or whatever. That's very typical. So don't tell me that just because a video doesn't have a lot of YouTube views that means they're having no impact. Conservatives, that's retarded. That's not the way this stuff works. Yeah, don't worry about this at all. No, nothing to see here. It's just the same language that's popping up in your kids' schools. Anyway. So this is what we're going to be watching today, guys. It is about an hour and a half long, and I'm actually pretty grateful that they streamed it because at least we have something we can watch from this conference. Now, a couple orders of business before we get started. Number one, please make sure you have mounted the like button for me. If you have not yet mounted the like button, now is a great time to do that. As a reminder, YouTube has been massively shadow banning my channel for years. They unsubscribe people from my channel all the time. I had 2 people in the chat just yesterday saying, Carlin, I was unsubscribed from the channel again. So if you want to be subscribed to the channel, double check, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, make sure you have notifications turned on. I stream every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m., except when I have a special event, which I do tomorrow, and I'm going to tell you about in a second. On Saturdays, we do 6 p.m. for Socialism Saturday. And so you got to make sure you're doing your part, guys. Please mount the like button. There is a shocking disparity between the number of people watching right now and the number of people who have liked the dang video. So I would appreciate that. And of course, because of all of this stuff that I have to deal with YouTube nonsense, YouTube isn't even my primary content hub anymore because they shadow ban my content and I get way more views over on my Substack, which is Carlin, Karlyn.substack.com. And so that's actually my main content hub on the internet. It's where I post all my best content, all my exclusives, all my investigative and undercover journalism. It's where I will post clips from the streams, like the really, really good clips. In fact, last night, I made a clip from the stream I did last night, which, by the way, I did like a kick-ass stream last night. I was actually really, really happy with the stream last night. We watched the Javier Milei speech, and then we watched some Yuri Brezmenov. And so I had a great clip where I was talking about DEI and the problem not being what you think it is. Not only did I post it as a video over on the Substack, I also made a podcast about it, so you can download the audio-only podcast. It is on Apple iTunes, Spotify, through Substack. I think it's some other places as well, but you can find me doing additional commentary on what the real problem with DEI is over there. That was put up last night. And then this morning, I put up a clip from last week's spy stream. Now, we did 2 spy streams last week. We went inside a gender ideology training. We also went inside a whiteness training. And so this morning, I put a clip up on my Substack that was from the whiteness training. And this was a great whiteness training because it was so professional. Really. I've done a lot of DEI training in the past 3 years because I've been trying to reverse engineer how these people are teaching diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. And so I've gone to a metric ton of these trainings. And I have to say, the National Equity Project did a great training. It was so organized. It was so well put together. The training that we went to last week was so organized that they sent me their entire attendee list. Oops. Did I put that confidential attendee list on my Substack? Well, I mean, I never agreed to keep it confidential. They sent it to me, but I never signed anything saying I wasn't going to share it with other people when I signed up for that training. So I just want to thank the National Equity Project for delivering me the entire attendee list for their self-identified white people training. And so I put that on the Substack just so you can see who is actually going to this training. We have places, I'll even tell you, here are some of the places that paid for their employees to go to this training. West Texas A&M University, the Central Jersey Family Health Consortium, the city of Milwaukee, to like a whole bunch of public school districts, the Foundation for California Community Colleges, Michigan Disability Rights Coalition, Crescendo Education Group, the University of Chicago. The University of Chicago, of course, is an Ivy League school, and they are paying for their employees to go to whiteness training. Don't tell me that DEI is dead. No, not when the University of Chicago last week on Thursday was paying for some of the, like a whole bunch. They had a whole effing contingent in the training. Sierra College, Eastern Carver County Schools in Minnesota, the Arizona Education Association, which is the teachers union in Arizona, Edvestors and Democracy Fund, and there are many more as well. And you can see the full attendee list on the Substack. Now, I did block out their email addresses, and I'm deadly serious about this, guys. Don't harass people. We don't know who on this list wanted to be in that training and who on this list was forced into that training by their employer. So don't harass people. The reason that I'm putting this list up and making it public is I want people to see who is going to these trainings. I want people to see the organizations that are paying money for this, because quite frankly, I've had enough of hearing on Twitter that DEI is dead and that all these departments are shutting down and that no one's doing it anymore. I'm getting really tired of hearing that because it's just not true. And so the reason I put up that list was to show you who exactly is doing it. We can keep arguing about this if you want, but you're going to lose this battle because, as we have already explained to you, conservative, the event is sold out. The organizing happens at the event. The event numbers are all that matter. YouTube numbers don't matter. Let me say this again. YouTube numbers don't matter. Can you guys please focus on something that actually matters for once in your lives? The other thing you can see in this article is that a video of part of the training. Now, if you want to access the full training, it is available on the Substack. You can watch the whole thing from start to finish. It's about 3.5 hours long. And you can watch this clip for free. And then if you want to see their materials, I also have their materials. I have their slide deck. I have their glossary of terms. There is so much stuff. There's so much stuff that I have from this training, and maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more moving forward, but we do have some other things coming up. So maybe it'll just be a members only thing for right this second, but that is the type of stuff that you get on my Substack that you do not get anywhere else. And if you want to support the work I'm doing and keep me in business and send me to future conferences, for example, I have a gender ideology conference that I would like to go undercover at in a couple months. This is exactly like the one we're going to watch today, except that it's a couple months from now, so I have a little bit more time to fundraise for it. And right now, everyone who signs up for a paying supporter membership on my Substack, whether that's a monthly membership for $8 a month or an annual membership for $80 a year, or you could do $240 a year, or you can make a one-time gift, or you can give subscriptions, or you can donate subscriptions to other people. Every single person who signs up for a membership right now is going to help me go undercover at a leftist gender ideology conference that is happening in a couple months. That conference is not virtual. It is only in person. I have to get plane tickets. I have to get rental car. I have to get registration. I have to get like a hotel, all that stuff. I have to take a couple days out of my time to go to the actual venue and go and record what they're saying and go to all their sessions and stuff and break it down for you and do all that stuff. And what I'm asking for you guys is that I need new paying supporters in the Substack to help me fund this, because I fund everything that I'm doing out of my Substack, guys. This is why I wish I'd had the resources to go to the conference that we're going to today in person, but sadly, we didn't meet our December goal. Now, December's a tough time. I get it. People are tightening their belts. It's the holidays. I really do get it. I understand. But if we had met our goal in December, I would be at this conference in New Orleans right now recording every single thing these people are saying. We didn't get it done, so I couldn't go, but we do have plenty of time to get it done for this conference in a couple months. In fact, I'm giving us 1 month to meet this goal. And in this article on my Substack, I do have a tracker so you can see how far along we are. I think it's about $800 so far. So I want to really appreciate everyone that made one-time gifts, because a lot of these are coming in from one-time gifts that you're going over to my website, which is activityunwoke.com/support. And you're making a one-time gift of support. So you can do that on there. Let me just pop the link in the chat if you want to do that. But my strong preference, guys, is really, if you are not yet a supporter, please sign up as a monthly or annual supporter on my Substack. First off, all of the revenue from your support is going to go into this project right now. But the other thing is the reason that I ask for monthly or annual support is because that's predictable. It's predictable for me. Like, I can't plan things months out based on maybe someone's going to send me a really big one-time gift or something like that. But when I have almost like 1,000 people on this Substack, like, signed up every month giving $8 a month, or every once a year giving $80 a year, that makes predictable income for me, where I can actually like say, okay, I know I'm going to have this chunk of change. I can go to this conference. I can go to this conference. I can send someone to this conference. That is what I would like to be able to get to do with the Substack, is to have it fund undercover journalism on a continual basis. But I need to be able to hit bigger numbers in order to be able to do that. It is just a financial reality, guys. Journalism costs money. And last year, I funded all the journalism I did, and I did more independent journalism in this area than anyone else on the internet. And I funded it all out of the bank account of Carlin's savings account. And I made a bet that if I just showed up and I kept showing you guys what was going on in a practical, nuanced, real world way, that you guys would show up and fund it moving forward. So that's what we're doing now. If you want me to continue doing undercover journalism, it's time to chip in, either with a membership on the Substack for $8 a month, $80 a year, or you can head over to my main website, which is activityunwoke.com. Click the support button right in the top, and that'll take you to this page where you can make a one-time gift. And again, I really just want to acknowledge everyone who is already a monthly supporter on my Substack or an annual supporter on my Substack who is also making one-time gifts. But in my ideal world, we would get new people signing up and supporting this stuff. So I really do appreciate it, guys. That really does help me out. Another way you can support the work I'm doing is by heading over to the Unwoke Art store, which is unwokeart.com. And of course, we do have a couple specials for t-shirts and other designs right now. So right now you can get the Socialists Are Gay design for 25% off. That's only for a couple more days. So you can get this one on all the different things it's on for 25% off through the end of Sunday. So that's on sale right now. The discount is automatically taken at checkout. We also have a couple limited edition items, including the limited edition Unwoke Wiki design that will only be in the stores for a couple more weeks because the logo for the Unwoke Wiki is going to change to a different plague doctor every single month. And so during the month that it's the logo, you can get it on limited edition merch. That's going to fund my Unwoke Wiki project that we're working on, which is coming along really, really well. And also, for a couple more weeks, we have the limited edition Steamboat Willie Whiteness Means Capitalism shirt, and that's on some other stuff too. You can find all that and more right now in the Unwoke Art store. I'm pretty sure I processed your order not too long ago, so you should be fine. But if it doesn't, you don't get the confirmation email, let me know. But I know I processed your order earlier today, just like what was it, like within the last couple hours or so. So you should be okay. Anyway, guys, all that does help support the work I'm doing, and I really, 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 really do appreciate it. All right, is there anything else? Oh, we're doing something a little different tomorrow. Now, normally on Fridays, we do happy hour at 5 p.m. However, I became aware of the Kroc Institute. What an unfortunate name. I became aware of the Kroc Institute at Notre Dame, at the University of Notre Dame. Has anyone ever been to South Bend, Indiana? I've been to South Bend, Indiana. I once did a keynote presentation in South Bend, Indiana. And it's actually a really nice little town. I actually really enjoyed my time in South Bend with Mayor Pete, because this was actually back when Mayor Pete was running for president back in the day. I actually thought South Bend was a great little town. I enjoyed my time there. The campus of Notre Dame was beautiful. But I was a little surprised to wake up this morning and find this message: the Kroc Institute. In January 2023, we hosted an open and forthright conversation about the status of racism in the U.S. and how pathways towards racial justice are impacted. Join us tomorrow at 4 p.m. as we continue the conversation from last year. And so this is called Continuing the Conversation, Walking in the Spirit of Truth, Charting the Pathways to Racial Justice 2.0, a panel discussion. So here's what we're going to do. Yes, there will be beer. There will be beer. There will be beer. Here's what we're going to do. Normally for Spy Stream, I put it as a members only thing. However, for tomorrow's presentation, I'm going to do this live and in public, because I think they're recording it anyway. I think it's going to go on their YouTube channel anyway. And so I'm going to be starting this Spy Stream a little bit early tomorrow. We'll start around 3:30. I will go to the beer store early. I will get some beers, and this is going to be for everyone. This is not going to be for members only. This is going to be a special, rare public Spy Stream, and we're going to watch that presentation, but it starts at 4 p.m. tomorrow instead of 5, so that's going to be great. But the reason I'm doing this one public is that next week, on Monday and on Tuesday, I have 2 supporter-only Spy Streams. Okay? And so the ones next week on Monday and Tuesday are going to be supporters only. That includes my Substack. That includes YouTube channel membership, Twitter, locals, Patreon, whatever. But tomorrow's is going to be public. It's just going to start a little bit earlier than usual, just because when I do Spy Stream, I'm at the whim of the people who are hosting the presentation. And so that's going to be pretty great. And I've already signed up for that. I've already got confirmation for that. So it should be okay. I don't think they're really going to mind, because I think they're going to put it on their YouTube channel anyway. But that should be interesting to watch. I think that's going to be pretty great. Let me see. I had a question from Tolkien Fan. Is there an option for a larger monthly payment for this journalism is more important than the mainstream news has been in the last 40 years? Well, I really do appreciate that, Tolkien fan. So one of the things you can do is that you can sign up for a founding membership on the Substack, which, why isn't it? What the hell? That didn't work like I wanted it to. That gives me pause. Hang on. Why didn't that work? Oh, you know what? Probably because I'm not signed in. It's probably because I'm not signed into Substack. So what you can do is you can sign up for a founding membership that you can set at any amount that you want. Like I said, you can also make one-time gifts through the website. I don't think you can change the monthly option, but you can like give gift donations. You can, donate subscriptions through the Substack if you want to do that. So if you want to support me, definitely lots of ways to do it. And I do appreciate you asking the question. All right, guys, with all that out of the way, half an hour into the stream, let's get started. As a reminder, we are watching. What are we watching? See, I don't even know what day it is. It's a weird day. What can I say? We are watching a stream from just 6 hours ago. This is from the Creating Change 2024 conference called Trans and Non-Binary Liberation Intersections at the Plenary. And a couple super chats before we get started. Sorry, I missed these before. Funny notes. James Lindsay is getting eaten by the conservative audience he pandered to, more so now since he's taking your talking points. Oh, is James Lindsay still stealing my talking points? Isn't that funny? Too bad, so sad, James. You should have gotten out what you could. You should have listened to me 3 years ago when I told you this was going to be a problem. But no, you had to pander to the Mills for Liberty. This was always going to be a problem, James. It was always going to backfire. You're welcome to unblock me anytime, James, and admit that you were wrong and that I was right. Of course, he's never going to do that. He will never do that. That's okay, though. I don't need James Lindsay to unblock me because I'm like years ahead of where James Lindsay is. So he can dick around with the conservatives all he wants. It ain't going to get him anywhere. It got him a lot of followers on Twitter. Ooh. It got him more money in his pocket. Ooh. It's not actually going to advance any quantifiable goals because the audience is not receptive to reality. But he's going to find that out, isn't he? Too bad. So sad. Karma is a real thing, James. Not everyone is a Gnostic. Karma is a real thing. Jen McMahon, thank you for being a member of the channel for 7 months. Speaking of Notre Dame, have you ever heard about the time the Notre Dame football went against the KKK and won? It's fascinating and based on actual events. Huh. Fascinating, Jen. I will have to look into that for sure. All right. Let's get started. Hang on. There we go. Let's get started with the presentation, guys. Everyone pray their sound works. Pray the audio works.
Acronyms, songs, lyrics, etc. to the interpreters beforehand.
We're going to fast forward.
T for timeout.
Oh God. That's the social justice haircut. That is the fucking socialist haircut. This is the socialist haircut. When I go to socialist events, everyone, and I mean fucking everyone, has this haircut where they have these weird little bangs and they have a mullet in the back and they have the sides of the head shaved. It's the most unattractive haircut in the history of haircuts. And I say that as someone with like a weird haircut that people think is really unattractive, but I don't think my hair's grown out now. So I don't even have the sides of my head shaved anymore. But like, I am not cutting. No, hard limit. I will dye my hair purple to do an infiltration. I will dye my hair. I dyed it dark blue when I went to the socialism conference. I thought it was going to turn out lighter, but it turned out darker. I will get new glasses. I will change my look I will style my hair differently. I will do any number of things to disguise myself for a socialism event. I am not getting that fucking haircut. Absolutely not. No. And I'm not wearing a wig either. Do you know how uncomfortable wigs are? I wore a chest binder at the last thing I went undercover at. That's about as much discomfort as I am inclined to put myself through, okay? Yeah. Lines were crossed. Let's see what these guys had to say, though.
¿Qué hubo, pueblo? Cecilia. Y Gloria.
Here is part of the language access team to remind y'all about how to help us create a multilingual space for creating change.
The task force continues to work towards language justice. Language justice means
Language
being able to fully
justice.
participate in the language a person feels most comfortable
Language
in or powerful.
justice.
It also means the ability to reclaim language as a tool for liberation rather than oppression.
It's important for us to take a moment to recognize all the languages, dialects, and ways of communicating that we bring into the space. Even those ancestral languages that maybe we don't have a name for, that have been
I am
violently
not wearing a
eliminated from our
Packer.
families through the
No.
process of colonialism, imperialism, slavery, and assimilation.
So, creating multilingual spaces is on everyone, not just the interpreters, which is why we're here to share with you a few guidelines that you can help us out.
All right. I don't want to listen to this anymore.
Communicate directly with the
I don't want to listen to this anymore.
Awesome. This is what I want to say. So
What?
welcome back to day 2. I see a lot of folks returning from yesterday. I see some new faces. And I know y'all probably got a few friends who haven't made it back from recovering from the cruise in Kiki last night. So text them, tell them they got work to do. But I'm so glad to be back with you all and so excited for the lineup that we
Guys, just so you know, I'm turning my microphone volume down so everyone can turn their personal volume up. Okay? So I'm turning my microphone volume down. And because their volume is a little low, I've already boosted it in the browser as much as I can. Everyone needs to work together, and I need everyone to turn their personal volume up and not ask me to fix their volume for them because I can't do that. The only thing I can do, because this is the highest volume I can go, and then I boosted it already in the browser, is to turn my microphone volume down so everyone can turn their volume up. Does everyone get it? All right, we have to work together here.
have today. I hope you're enjoying this breakfast. Is it scrumptious? Yeah, okay. But you're gonna be feasting on something even more scrumptious and delicious and powerful in just a second. We are gonna dive into a fabulous plate of trans power. Are y'all ready?
Wow. I'm ready.
So,
Let's
as
do
you
it.
saw in the video just a second ago, we're continuing our commitment to language justice from yesterday, and we are so proud that our next panel is multilingual. And that's a big deal. We have so many folks who have made this possible. We're providing both simultaneous and consecutive interpretation, and apologies on behalf of the task force. But you know, sometimes we just gotta mix stuff up so that it works for all our people. So y'all in it with us? Great. And there will still be live Spanish interpretation happening in this room. And if you need that, please grab equipment from the Spanish interpretation team just through the plenary doors. So as I said just a second ago, this next panel is all about how our leaders are building trans power at the intersections of various progressive movements. We're talking climate justice, reproductive.
As a reminder, they might say they're progressives, but these people are not progressives, guys. These people are socialists. And we know they're socialists because of the language that they're using. So don't buy into it. These people are not progressives.
Justice, immigrant justice, workers' justice, racial justice, and of course, gender justice. So it is my honor to introduce our moderator, who is one of our fab NOLA ambassadors and amazing award-winning national organizer and activist who fearlessly and ferociously fights for equity, equality, and safety for the entire trans community. She is the co-director of policy and programs at Transgender Law Center and co-founder of House of Tulip, a TGNC, Catch It, Trans and Gender Non-Conforming, led resource provider in this great city of New Orleans. So I could sing so many more praises of my dear sister who makes me so proud every day.
Is
So
the
I'll just
audio
let her bring
just
the fire for
totally
y'all.
fucked up?
Welcome, Mariah Moore.
Is the audio
So
just
I
totally
could sing
fucked
so
up?
many
Yeah,
more praises
there is.
of
Okay,
my dear
whatever.
sister who makes me so proud every day. But I'll just let her bring the fire for y'all. Welcome, Mariah Moore.
I guess we're just gonna have to roll with the audio being out of sync. Whatever.
Good morning. Good morning.
It is what it is, guys.
Hello. Good morning. Oh. How are you feeling? Yeah. Welcome to my city, my home, New Orleans. And I apologize in advance for the dip in the weather, but we're going to get back on track. All right. Are y'all ready for an amazing plenary this morning? Yeah. All right. Well, I have some amazing panelists
Mask,
joining me.
mask.
So I'm
Only
gonna introduce
socialists
them
wear
one by
masks.
one, okay? First, I want to introduce union organizer Neha Kremen.
Look at the trans skirt.
Next, we have Leanne Sanchez, who is grassroots activist and human rights
They're all
defender.
wearing masks.
And last but certainly not least, Pearl Ricks, advocate, artist, and caretaker. And as my sister Raquel Willis said, catch it, recently ran for the Louisiana State Legislature.
Jen, thank you for the super chat. Their intersections are turning into parking lots. Ain't that the truth, Jen? Ain't that the truth? As a reminder, guys, I cannot control their volume. I have it up as loud as I can go. I can turn my mic volume down a little more, but you guys all have to do your part and manage your own audio and turn your volume up on your computer because there ain't nothing more I can do about it. Yeah, we can register a vote for who will say capitalism first. So who do you guys think is going to say capitalism first? I'm not going to do a poll, but we're going to do person number 1, the moderator, person number 2, person number 3, person number 4, or person number 5 on the end there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Register your votes in the chat about who is going to say capitalism first.
I do want to take a moment to acknowledge one of our panelists that wasn't able to join us this morning. And just
one more on the end. 6.
Clee Claybert, who is the executive director of Imagine
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just from left to right.
And I want to just take a moment to tell you a little bit about their
Yes,
work.
you can register your vote in a minute.
Is place-based with a global vision. Since 2012, they've helped lead the charges we've seen locally in how we think about living with water, working in an intersection of reducing risk from flooding, pollution, and natural hazards. We knew that the best solutions were multidisciplinary, and so we integrated science, history, identity, and art into their work. They've worked with residents, neighborhood organizations, nonprofits, artists, families, scientists, academics, architects, small business owners, and government agencies to create various resources for our community, to hold space for conversation, and to develop hazard mitigation plans in Louisiana and nationwide. So when you get a moment, please look up Imagine Waterworks, support their work. Our commitment to climate justice is necessary, and we demand it in every space. Give Imagine Waterworks a round of applause. Somebody needs to start my timer so I can stay on track, because y'all know I'll talk. I just want to also thank Creating Change for putting us in a place of prominence. It's not every day that we visit these conferences and we're on the main stage and prioritizing our conversations as it's necessary.
Of course they prioritize them. It's the progressive stack.
So thank you all, and thank you to so many of you all for showing up. A packed house leads to a warm heart for me. So I appreciate the support.
Ooh, good tip,
All right,
Rottweiler.
So
Thank you.
jump into this conversation. How you feeling, Neha?
Honestly,
She has her microphone over her mask. She's not even going to take her mask off while speaking into the microphone. This is how you know they're socialists. Only socialists are still doing this shit at conferences, guys, and they really do mean it. They really do think there's still a pandemic. It's real to them. MB, thank you for the super chat. I wonder if they will bring up crip liberation as well, trans and no, so crip or disability studies is separate from trans or queer. So, I mean, maybe they'll bring it up. There are other sessions on it at the conference. I know that, but disability studies or crip is different than queer Marxism. It's a whole different realm of critical theory. So they may bring it up, they may not. I suspect probably not. Yeah, and it's crip. It's crip as in cripple.
I know. I know. Oh Lord, media.
I mean, like, it's also because, like, I'm wearing glasses and a mask, and this is around my ear. My poor ear is supporting so much.
This girdle I have on is supporting a lot too, child. So we're gonna thank you. Laughter is good for the soul. So we're gonna jump right into our first question. So Neha, how does labor justice build trans power and help us get free?
I mean, if you've seen any of our shirts, the Starbucks Workers United shirts, they say trans rights are labor rights. And what that really means is labor is like a form.
Pop quiz for the chat. Why are trans rights labor rights? Why are those the same thing? I need to turn my mic down more. Why are trans rights labor rights? What do you think? This is kind of the same, like, why are queer rights Palestinian rights, or why are Palestinian rights queer rights? It's like, why are trans rights the same as labor rights? It's not a hard question, bot. You know the answer to this. Come on. Well, this is part of it. This is part of it because trans people need jobs too and shouldn't be discriminated against. Sure. But it's more than that. Guys, if you don't know has my chat gone retard again? No, please. Guys, come on. You know guys. They are all oppressed groups. As I have explained ad nauseum, I can't change their volume. And so I just, like, guys, I can't control the volume on your computer either. Turn up the volume on your fucking computer. Everyone's going to have to manage, guys. I can't fix their tech issues, okay? I can't. Why are trans rights labor rights? Rottweiler, thank you for the super chat. Could it be the masks are a product of how back during the pandemic people were pushing against lockdowns to keep the economy going? No, that's not what it is, Rottweiler. When I say that these people really do believe there's still a pandemic going on, what I mean is these people really do believe there is still a pandemic going on. This is no joke to them. They really believe that in wearing the mask, they are doing their duty to the community to keep everyone else safe. There's no undercurrent. They really do believe this. But I appreciate the super chat. I'm still waiting for the right answer to this question, which no one has given the right answer yet. And I'm starting to think my chat has gone retarded again. Why are trans rights labor rights? No one has given the right answer yet. And you all know the answer to this. I know you know the answer to this. No, do not give me a one-word answer. Do not say capitalism. Do not say Marxism. Do not give me a one-word answer. Why are trans rights labor rights? It has nothing to do with social reproduction theory. Now we're starting to cook. Why are trans rights labor rights? You guys are making this too difficult. You guys are overthinking this. It has nothing to do with the nuclear family, Stony Baloney. I already told you that. Okay, we're starting to move closer to the right answer, because trans people are part of the proletariat, and as a result, the means of production. Keep going. That's not exactly right, but it's moving finally in the right direction. You guys are really making this too difficult. All right, here's what we're going to do. Well, I would have to change all the volume settings, so no, we're not going to do that. I was going to show you guys a video that should clear all this up. Here is the answer. No one is free under capitalism. We are not free until capitalism is abolished. That is the answer. No one is free until capitalism is abolished. And I'm a little disappointed you guys didn't know the answer to this, because I know you know the answer. I know I've seen you guys say this before. Socialists believe that no one is free until capitalism is abolished, and that's why trans rights and labor rights are the same thing, because no one is free until capitalism is abolished. Does everyone understand? No, Tayton, you were not on it. You made it too complicated. You don't get credit for that answer. Precisely. And they do that all the time. They literally do that all the time. So I don't know why you guys are so surprised about this. Where do you think Queers for Palestine came from? Came from the same thing. No one is free until capitalism is abolished. That's why trans rights are human rights, trans rights are labor rights, Queers for Palestine, etc., etc., etc. Like white supremacy and trans rights, reproductive justice and gender affirming care. It's why all of these things are paired together, because every single grievance that these people has goes back to capitalism, every single one, and you can always boil it down to no one is free until capitalism is abolished. That's what the correct answer is. Nope. Wrong. Wrong. You guys aren't listening. Again, this really seems like a retard day for the chat. I'm not happy about this. Socialists believe that every fucking one are oppressed under capitalism. There is no one who is not oppressed under capitalism. Do people understand, or do people have questions? If you have questions, now's the time to ask them, because if you ask them in a time that isn't right now, because you held back, because you were afraid of me yelling at you, but you ask the question in the future, I'm going to be like, why the fuck didn't you ask that question then? Because I don't want to have to explain this again. Everyone is oppressed under capitalism, therefore no one is free until capitalism is abolished. Let's move on.
Of power. It's a way for us to build power as a community. I mean, like, as trans people, we often don't have the same political power as other groups. We often feel kind of powerless, honestly. But through labor, we're at least able to make sure that we have protections in the workplace. And I mean, a lot of trans people kind of, by design, because we live in a transphobic society, are, working in service industry jobs.
You're welcome, Brian.
Paycheck. So, improving working conditions for all of us means that we're also helping trans people. So.
Absolutely, and thank you for all.
No closed. Well, Bot, the closed captions are on the screen.
$1 billion greedy company. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how did that impact specifically trans and gender nonconforming folks? And what message did that send to the greater movement?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a joke at this point that every Starbucks barista has like blue hair and pronouns. But there is like some truth to that, right? Like a
There
lot of
is
Starbucks
some truth
baristas
to it.
are queer or trans. I know my store, 36th and May in Oklahoma City, we're a block away from the historically gay district of Oklahoma City. So all of my coworkers aren't queer or trans, except we have like our one straight guy coworker. He's
It's a
like
lot of talking.
not
That's not us. That's them. Oh, now there's no volume. Good. They're fucking around with their own volume. Let's see.
you know,
There it goes.
as trans people, we don't have political power. But we wanted to make sure that our queer and trans coworkers were safe.
Absolutely.
That like in the workplace, they had protections, right?
Absolutely.
So
And speaking of building that power, that political power, speaking of
Are you kidding me? Goddamn socialists and their lack of understanding how technology works. Is this whole thing just silent? Are we going to have to find a different presentation? There it is.
Want to show up or need to be building that community, ensuring that policy and advocacy and issue education and the
Okay.
engagement of individuals can be accessible to everyone. There are spaces, especially when we're looking at policy, especially when and that could be workplace policy, that could be legislative policy, that could be how our landlords are engaging with us. But there becomes a point where it feels very inaccessible, where it is purposely inaccessible to make sure that power doesn't go to everyday folks, to the folks that are
Does that sound better?
so reproductive justice for me allows a space where we can share power, we can share resources, we can share information, and the expectation is to be raw. I've been in systems that want me to quiet down or bring respectability politics to change, but there's not always space for that. So the exciting part about RJ is to be up with people like this, where we have different things that we're focused on, but we all come together and we don't have to be nice about it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Absolutely. I just want to say that, I'm the co-director of policy and programs at Transgender Law Center, and one of our main focuses right now is absolutely building trans power. And so what that means is that we have to be in alignment. And I speak constantly about alignment because it's necessary for us to be in alignment
Oh, fuck you.
to slow this anti-trans legislation and ultimately pass laws and policies that benefit and protect our folks, right? And also recognize our humanity. And when I speak about humanity, I also speak about our folks who are in cages, right? Everyone should live fear-free. And guess what? Borders should not exist. And so my next question, yes.
Everything that person just said was about capitalism. That person literally just said again. Trans rights are prisoner rights. Trans rights are immigrant rights. Do you guys see how this works? It's not just about trans people. It's about people in cages, people in prison, because prison abolition is something that socialists want to do. It's about open borders. Borders should not exist because socialists don't believe that borders should exist. They believe, do you guys hear how, all of the rights are intertwined and all roads lead back to capitalism?
My next question is also for you, Leanne. So how does your immigration work help build trans power and get us free?
Hola a todos, ¿cómo estamos? Buenos días. Con tu permiso, Maraya, y el permiso a todos ustedes. Bueno, es más, ni hay que pedir permiso. Ok. Bueno, me estoy guiando a el equipo de interpretación. Muy emocionada de estar aquí. voy a hablar de mi lengua nativa, que estoy muy orgullosa de ser
Rottweiler,
una
can you
mujer
translate for us, please?
afrodescendente indígena. Relijo niete, guan, kia tushun, ki ahyawa, relijo rumiguate. La Husun eta i.
Wait. Rottweiler said she's using gender neutral Spanish. Rottweiler, you have to tell us if she says capitalism, okay? We're relying on you right now. None of us speak Spanish. Yeah, I thought I heard capitalismo. Is that Spanish for capitalism?
Amazon, kia la Husun erme, ebena, rusme, wetna, rusme, egan.
Thank you.
Wait, did she say capitalism? Rottweiler, are you sure she said capitalism? Those who guessed the woman in the skirt that speaks Spanish would say capitalism first. You won. Thank you, Rottweiler, for facilitating our contest. Number 4, the one in the skirt. Congratulations, all winners. She said capitalism first. Unless Rottweiler is lying to us because he picked her as his pick.
So, hablar de la inmigración, como una persona impactada, no me victimizo como tal, aunque yo estuve un año en la cárcel de inmigración, un confinamiento solitario en el famoso hoyo, viví condiciones insalubres e inhumanas. Y todas estas experiencias que yo viví en ese lugar tan terrible que ni siquiera se lo puedo decir a mi peor enemigo, se lo deseo, si es que existiera un enemigo que está allá afuera. Entonces,
all right, we need to fast forward because I can't. Okay, now translator.
A nuestras múltiples identidades. Nos siguen criminalizando por nada. Actualmente,
So Leanne was saying, hello everyone, how's everyone doing? Good morning. I'd like to speak to you with your permission and with the support of my interpreters. So I'm very excited to be here, and I'll start first with a saying in my language because I am very proud to be a trans, Latina, immigrant, indigenous woman. What Leanne said, I'll say it in Spanish first, and then I'll say it in English.
No!
Podrán atar mis manos y mis pies, pero nunca la brillantez de mi corazón, alma y espíritu, que son armas para resistir en resiliencia por la liberación. So they could tie my hands and feet, but never the brilliance of my heart, soul, and spirit, which are the weapons to resist in resilience for liberation. And if we're going to speak about the topic of immigration, as a person who was directly impacted, I don't victimize myself. I spent 1 year in detention in solitary confinement, the famous hole, and I lived unsanitary and inhumane conditions. It was a terrible experience and a terrible place. I wouldn't even wish this upon my worst enemy were they to exist. But it provided a space for reflection for me, especially thinking about the United States, a country that presents itself as a protector of human rights, but all they do is criminalize the multiple identities that many of us hold for no reason.
And so, Pearl, I want to start this next question with you. And I know that, to do this work, we need to be well-resourced and funded. So let's talk about some money, huh? Yeah? Who needs money? We all need money to do this work. We don't have to be uncomfortable when we talk about money. That's how we break down those barriers and get more of it when we're not afraid to talk about it. So let's talk about it. So how can well-resourced funders and LGBTQ organizations intentionally prioritize and serve trans people who are among the most marginalized. And when I say the most marginalized, I mean our working class brothers, sisters, and siblings. I mean poor, disabled, and BIPOC trans people.
Thank you for that question. First, I want to say that philanthropy is inherently harmful. I tell my funders this, I tell my partners this, I'll really tell anybody who will listen.
Philanthropy is inherently harmful. Where does that come from? Is that idea that like so what these people want is a collectivized world, right? They want everyone to be part of the collective. They want everything to be provided for free. But they think that philanthropy is inherently harmful. And yes, Prometheus, this is the direction I was going in. It's inherent. They think that philanthropy is inherently harmful because it's privatized care. Like, it's like, I mean, nonprofits are like, you know, they're government regulated and whatever, but like no one has to give philanthropy. Philanthropy is voluntary, right? Where they want everything to be given by the state as a matter of like, you have a right to have all this free shit, right? Philanthropy upholds capitalism. It also upholds voluntarism. Whereas socialism obviously does not uphold capitalism, but in socialism, it's not voluntary. There's going to be, so what we can like ascertain from this in thinking it through is like, yeah, philanthropy slows the revolution. Philanthropy can pretty much only be done if you have taken full advantage of the capitalist system. Philanthropy would be the opposite of this. Is a good point, Code Monkey. Like in a world built on equity, philanthropy wouldn't need to exist. But philanthropy would be directly counterproductive to the idea of equity. Philanthropy comes from private property. Yep. Well done, guys.
Because I think it's important that we start from that place, that there needs to be a reparation, and part of that is repair. So we're already coming from a point where philanthropy and philanthropists need to be excited about the repair that needs to be done to the people that they are funding. Another thing that I'll bring up is that so many folks are so busy doing the work, surviving, connecting with each other, that having heavy application burdens, having heavy reporting burdens, having heavy application burdens, having heavy reporting burdens, and making it so it's a stressful undertaking for people is not how you're going to get the most diverse pool of applicants. It's not how you're going to have the most diverse group of people engaged. Whether we're thinking if you need to go through a portal and if it's language, if it's accessible language-wise, are the people that you're looking to fund, are they connected to the internet? Do you need to maybe spend some of that money? Because we all know that less than 4 to 7% of larger funders, like money actually goes to us. A lot of it gets saved. There's reserve funds. So spend some of that money and send people into the communities and learn from the folks that are here. Because I can't tell Shreveport how to run their stuff. I can't tell Baton Rouge how to run their stuff because I don't live there. I'm not part of those communities. What I need to do in any way, whether I'm not a funder, but when I'm supporting, is go there and listen. So like I said, to funders, philanthropists in the room, no heavy reporting requirements. If you can go to your board and make the conversation and make the argument on behalf of that organization that is doing the work of 15 people with the budget of 2 and actually have 3 on staff, then that's a huge help. That's actually going to further the work that your board wants.
Didn't we literally just talk about this yesterday and how this is fundamentally not true and it's just conservative propaganda bullshit? And so I'm kind of wondering why you're bringing this up in the chat again today when we literally talked about this yesterday. There are planes flying right over all of our heads right now and ain't no planes crashing. Like, I know that the airlines are something conservatives like to whine about. They've done it a lot, but this is not the biggest problem. And we already dispensed with this yesterday. Jen, thank you for the super chat. Do they know that reparations can't happen without capitalism? Oh, they think it can, Jen. They absolutely think that reparations can happen without capitalism. 100%. No, It's not, because you guys are making up a fake issue that has no basis in reality, and I don't want it to. We don't deal in bullshit here. You've been on this channel long enough to know we don't deal in conservative fucking hysteria bullshit. There are planes flying over all of our heads right now. Literally. Literally. You guys are working yourself up into a hysteria over something that doesn't matter. I do not want to see you bring this up in my chat again. Do you understand?
To see done, the work that you want to see done, and the work that we need to ensure that our communities are strong, are resourced, and are not overwhelmed. Also,
Like,
just take a look.
Conservatives really believe that the worst fucking problem that we have to deal with is a diversity program at an airline. That's really the conversation that we're having now, conservatives. You went from the worst problem we had to deal with was drag queens hosting events that no one had to go to and that weren't paid by the taxpayer. That was the worst problem that we had to deal with. Then the worst problem we had to deal with was books sitting in public fucking libraries that no one was compelled to check out. That was the worst problem we had to deal with. At some point, the worst problem we had to deal with was Jill Biden being called doctor, because God knows we had to have 2 fucking weeks on Jill Biden being called doctor. And then there was already the other hysteria about the airline that took up a good solid week because everyone hated United Airlines diversity program. And then there was hysteria about that. And now there's more hysteria about the fucking airlines when no one is talking about the fucking schools. Literally no one on the right is talking about what is actually going on in the schools, because you fucking retards are so focused on shit that doesn't matter, and it never fucking stops. It never stops. There is always another fucking conservative bullshit fucking hysteria that does not matter. You guys spent 2 weeks. You spent 2 weeks in a circular fucking firing squad over a fucking calendar. Do not come in my chat and say, Carlin, you don't understand. It's real this time. It's real. We swear. Pinky swear, bro. We promise. If I hear one more thing about fucking airlines, I'm banning the person who brought it up.
See what is in alignment with white supremacy and colonial values. So when I say that, I mean looking at not just accessibility, but the way that you're talking about the work that people engage in. Do not tokenize people. It is more than possible for you to do that, even though you're
volume is on there and it's not on mine. The volume is like, I can't really
see the true value in the work or fully understand. Just because you can talk to your board about it doesn't mean you understand the sweat, the tears, the time, and the sacrifice that often many people take to ensure that their neighbors are eating, their neighbors are heated, that we have
there it
solid
goes.
policy in place. So just to recap, philanthropy inherently harmful. Move from a space of repair, move from a space of listening, move from a space of access, and ensure that people can access those resources and with no to low barrier.
Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Leanne, I'll ask you the same question. So how can funders and LGBTQ organizations intentionally prioritize the work around immigration?
Ok.
I'm going to fast forward to her translator.
Funders or major donors.
Wow. Jesus Christ, this is so painful.
Si se supone que es una... Ustedes hay que identificar a las personas, quiénes son donantes y quiénes son esas organizaciones que necesitan estos recursos.
Where? I can't do anything about it.
Because this is a conference that's supposed to be called Creating Change, right? So here we see the connections between how you need to identify who are the funders and who are the organizations that really need these resources.
Basta de vernos como caridad. Nosotros no somos caridades. Lo que realmente necesitamos proyectar estrategias de unión, ayuda mutua y solidaridad. Cambiar estos lenguajes. ¿Por qué? Porque si lo empezamos desde la base comunitaria, culturalizándonos.
Enough of looking at us as charity. What we really need is project and strategies of union, mutual aid, and solidarity to change the language that we're using.
¿Y cómo podemos conectarnos unos a otros en estos espacios que se crean en las conferencias, en los eventos? Asistan a los eventos que con organizaciones de base hacemos. Muchas veces hacemos las invitaciones a donantes y fundadores. No tengo tiempo, pero te puedo mandar a fulano, pero te puedo mandar a sutano. Hay muchas maneras de seguir conectándonos. Visiten en nuestros lugares, visiten nuestros espacios, quiénes está haciendo el trabajo, ¿verdad? Y quién.
Okay, so we need to be connecting more. We need to be connecting in these spaces, in the spaces that this conference provides, in our own events. Show up to our events. Many times we invite donors and funders, but all we hear back is that we have no time, but I could send along so-and-so. We need you to connect with us, to visit our spaces.
Y en estas conferencias que estamos aquí, no sabemos quiénes son donantes, no sabemos quiénes son fundadores. ¿Por qué? Porque nada más vienen a estos espacios a ver si se realizó el trabajo que están escritos en las propuestas de estas conferencias, pero no conectan con nosotros como comunidad o con la población que estamos haciendo ese trabajo.
So in these conferences, many times we don't know who's a funder here, who's a major donor, and when we only see them or when they come here, it's only to come and see if the grant deliverables are happening or if the work that was proposed in a project is being carried out, but we don't really get to connect with them.
Entonces, ¿dónde está la solidaridad? ¿Dónde está la unión? ¿Dónde está el trabajo realmente de que venimos desde abajo y venimos creciendo, venimos resistiendo y algunos en resiliencia? Y sobre todo en el sur, sobre todo en el profundo sur.
So where's the solidarity? Where's the union? We're coming from the bottom with the work that we're doing, constantly growing in resistance, in resilience, and especially those who are here in the South, in the deep South.
Solo recordando las palabras de la directora de ayer, estoy a salve, eso lo dejo ahí.
If a single one of you tries to make the argument that these people are funded by George Soros, I am going to lose my fucking shit. That is not what is being suggested, conservatives. Can we please hinge back into reality?
Just reminding the words of a direct ED yesterday, I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Thank you, Leanne. So, last but certainly not least, Leanne, I'm sorry, I just talked to Leanne. I need coffee. Neha, how can well-resourced funders and LGBTQ organizations intentionally prioritize and serve trans folks?
Yeah, so we're going to quickly shout this out first. I'm sure you all have seen, okay. I'm sure you all have seen the QR codes that are like on your tables. You've seen them at our booths. We have like a graphic. Hopefully it's going to be on screen at some point. But You can scan that QR code as an individual. You can sign our no contract, no coffee pledge to support us. But also, you can ask your organizations, these major LGBT orgs, to sign onto a letter in support of queer and trans Starbucks workers. So, I mean, that's like a very direct way that you can support our work. But also wanted to, I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of the times these organizations seem to not be listening to those of us who are the most vulnerable, who are struggling the most in our community, and they're not prioritizing us, right? Like the priorities are going towards how can they get more funding, how can they get approval from, these people who
Guys, what they're trying to do is tell people that to give them the money directly instead of going through charity. That's what they're saying. That's what equity is. They want people to give them directly the money. That is the redistribution of resources that they're talking about, instead of going through any third party, because they're saying when you give money to a third party, it never makes its way to them, so you should just give the resources directly to us. That is what the argument is. I can't help you out, Paula. They don't have closed captions. We're doing the best we can. I don't want to hear any complaints about the technology, guys. I really don't. There's nothing I can do about their technology.
have the most liberal of politics, I guess. But I feel like it's important to actually support people who are, struggling, working class trans people, people who are, people of color.
We have Tariff over on Rumble asking, does anyone actually know a transphobe? Tariff, this is not the kind of thing we do here. We don't do this conservative shitposting game here. This is about listening. This is about understanding. If you are not here to listen and you're not here to understand what these people are doing, I promise you this is going to be a very boring stream. So I don't care if anyone actually knows a transphobe. And I would say, yeah, there are an awful lot of fucking conservatives who are doing their best to uphold what being a transphobe means. So I would say, yeah, I can name a whole bunch of conservatives that fit that bill. Sure. If you want to play that game, we can play that fucking game, but that is not what we're doing here. Jesus Christ. What is going on today?
People who are disabled, people who have needs, who might not be, wealthy or able to, be at the forefront of these organizations. Y'all need to listen to us. Recently, something that we did, my union. So I run a subcommittee called the Trans Rights Action Committee. Actually, everyone here who's at the conference with our union is a member of TRAC. So we noticed that HRC had actually given Starbucks a 100% score on their corporate equality index. And we were like, that's not entirely accurate. I mean, as queer and trans workers at Starbucks, we know that we are struggling to get access to healthcare. Starbucks changed our healthcare so that we're paying thousands more for access to gender affirming care. We're facing discrimination from management. We are being harassed by customers. I mean, this is not a perfect work environment for queer and trans people. It needs to be so much better. So what we did is we have a lot of our reach has come from social media. So we took to social media and we were like, hey, we're going to directly come to you and ask you, listen to our stories. Here are our stories of how we as queer and trans workers have struggled. HRC, you need to reevaluate this corporate equality index score. Actually listen to working class trans people. So
thank you. Yes, absolutely. And when we absolutely give them a round of applause. Speaking of care, we need to talk about prioritizing ourselves and self-care. As leaders, we have to have the capacity to do this work. And in order to build capacity, we need joy and radical self-care and rest, right? Right? Okay. And so we know that that doesn't happen without funding, without resources. So when we think about a more perfect organizational structure that has the funding and the resources, Pearl, what does that joy and self care look like for you?
Thank you. If you don't mind, I want to add something to the
Go
last
right
question real
ahead.
quick. Um, Also, philanthropists, funders, hire people that don't look like you. Like, make sure that when you're putting out your job descriptions, you don't have something fake like a master's when someone doesn't need a master's, and masters aren't financially accessible to a lot of people, and you got to be in the right place at the right time.
Pearl,
Some people do the work so they don't need the paper. Some people got
Pearl.
both. Thank you. Some I talk so fast all the time. This is me all the time. No coffee. Um, but some people have the paperwork and some people have the expertise. Trust that expertise. Living something makes you an expert. So make sure you're trusting people when they apply and encouraging people on your job descriptions. Let people know, do not be dissuaded by any educational requirements, or these are soft desires that we have for the role. We encourage X type of people to apply, whether you can be in office or not, remote work available for people in terms of accessibility. So ensure that you're not creating job descriptions for the status quo. We have no use for the status quo. That's why all of us are here right now to talk about how bullshit the status quo is, and we cannot change everything from this side. Thank
Absolutely.
you. I appreciate that.
No, thank you for bringing that up. I talked about this yesterday in our session, is how are we creating accessible pathways to leadership and positions? And that doesn't just mean putting someone somewhere and setting them up for failure. That means also equipping them with the training and skills and tools that they need to be successful in their role, not just for the optics or hiring folks to fill your quota or to get funding based on a grant. We need to be setting folks up intentionally for that success. So thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. But speaking of money, baby, Wells Fargo is on my line. I owe them.
Oh my good. They be all right.
It's okay. Y'all owe people too.
Well, Fargo's fine.
I can't, I
But
cannot. I
speaking of-
cannot.
baby, if I can get that payment down just a little bit, I can go on vacation. But speaking of vacation, like, tell us about what you're doing to take care of yourself, your joy, your resilience. How are you sustaining yourself? What does self care look like for you?
So when it comes to self-care, it kind of collides with community care because they do depend on each other. I need my community for my self-care, and part of my self-care is caring for my community. I do a lot of things in the ripple system, as I call it. So at my core, I like to color, I like to draw, I like to write.
They're
Sometimes I'm
all
too stressed out or
emotionally
I'm
stunted.
upset or whatever, and
All
it
of
feels
them.
like the words are blocked up at my wrist and they won't come out. That's when I know I need to lean into it more. I like to bake. I like to cook with my ancestors. That's my central ripple. That is me. And then the rest of it, the outer ripple, is spending time with loved ones. Many of them started out as friends and are now deeply, deeply cherished family that I have that keep me accountable. They keep me on point, and they can let me know if I'm trying to pretend I'm not wobbling in my strength, if I'm trying to pretend I'm not wavering in my joy. They can hold up a mirror, and that mirror is held with love. That mirror is held with compassion, but that mirror is also held with a realness. And that is something that adds to my self joy, to be able to look out and see people reflecting on me that love me, that want me to be well. And I need to believe that. Now, I brought up in our planning call, some of the types of joy that I like are connected to a privilege. I enjoy going out and having a meal with my friends if I can. If we can all get together, I enjoy that. That's connected to a privilege. I like being able to go see my family, or maybe run to the next town over, somewhere else, go to Lafayette, talk to Peyton or something. There's a privilege there. I get to drive there. I get to gas up my car. So please know that I say all these things while acknowledging the specific space in which I stand, and that everything doesn't apply to everyone.
Hang on.
But I
D1001 more. I know you're a conservative. Do I know how you know do you know how I know you're a conservative? Because it is literally only conservatives who ask if socialists know they are talking about capitalism. Do they know they're talking about capitalism? Yes. They all know they're talking about capitalism. Every single one of them. The vast majority of people in this chat have seen probably at this point hundreds of videos where they make it very clear that they all know they're talking about capitalism. The only people who do not know that this is about capitalism, which is defined as private property ownership, are conservatives. They are literally the only ones who don't know. And the reason they don't know is they do not listen. I have a video on this channel that was posted last week, either on Thursday or Friday. And it says, do they know capitalism, or excuse me, do they know whiteness means capitalism? And this video will explicitly show you that they absolutely know they are talking about capitalism. We have literally seen thousands of hours of video. They all know they're talking about capitalism. They always know. They always know. They always know.
Do it in ripples. What is my joy? What can I do by myself? What can I do with myself? What can I do for myself? And then what do I need to depend on other people to help me with? This is not something I want to do alone. That whole no person is an island thing. To me, it's all Pangea. Like, we started out connected. We may be a little over there and over there, but I want to bring it back together. So that's my quick answer.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Neha, what are you doing to take care of yourself? What's bringing you joy? How are you sustaining yourself so that you continue to do this work?
So I'm gonna be real. Sometimes when you have these conversations about like mental health and self-care, sometimes it feels like that stuff's only for white people and cis people.
Oh my
And
God!
obviously it's not, but like sometimes there's such a burden and a weight on us. It feels hard to talk about self-care and joy right now, especially.
What she means is that self-care and joy is only available to people who are beneficiaries of capitalism, to people who have privilege. That privilege is they benefit from capitalism, which means they have access to private property that other people do not. Yeah, it's making me angry too, Thomas. It's making me angry too.
But I think that where I get my joy and my comfort from is from community. It's not from just what I'm doing for myself. It's from the people around me. Like that comes from like when we organized my store. Like that really brought us together. It went from being like, oh, like morning shift is angry at night
Don't
shift.
give them any
Like we're
ideas,
all like
Steven.
together in this fight against like this corporation, and it really brought us together.
Please don't give them any ideas.
I've talked about this before, but like my store organized. It started as like we had horror movie nights. Like I would invite all of my coworkers over, and I'd be like, "Hey, do you want to watch Hellraiser? Do you want to watch Martyrs?" And like that is like how from that like community is how like we ended up organizing because we became friends, we became close. But also, I get a lot of joy from like solidarity with other organizers, from people who are fighting, for other really important causes. One thing that really brought me a lot of joy recently is so there's a group in Oklahoma called Oklahomans Against Occupation. They are a group of Palestinian activists. And me and a few of my coworkers went out to a rally they had at Scissortail Park. And, afterwards,
Queers for
them,
Palestine.
And we're like, hey, like, we just want you to know, like, we support you. We've got your back. Like, whatever we can do for you, we're here for you. And, like, we didn't expect anything from that, right? It was just, like, the right thing to do. But a few weeks later, whenever my store went on strike, these activists, they made like a graphic for social media and shared it to their thousands of followers, telling them that our strike is happening, telling them to come out to our strike.
See, I just want to emphasize this. I want to emphasize what this person is saying right now, because this was all over conservative Twitter where they were talking about like how stupid this Queers for Palestine thing is, because the Palestinians all want to throw them off buildings. And so how could queers possibly stand up for Palestinians? Well, the story that this person is saying is that the queers, the trans and the queers and the gender nonconformings went to the Palestinian protest. They introduced themselves. They said, hey, we're here to support you. And then a couple weeks later, when they were having their event, the Palestinians showed up for them. Does everyone see how that works? It is true that you know, Muslims are not down with the queer stuff, but it seems as though they are kind of working together, and that it's a quid pro quo. No one's getting thrown off of buildings. They're all in support of the revolution. I'm not feeling this is clip worthy, two ladies. I understand why you think it might be. I'm not feeling it though. No, it's not a question of this. That's not what it is. It's almost as if they all want to abolish capitalism. The issue is always the revolution. Whatever helps you further the revolution is good, even if the people you're cheering on hate you.
Telling them to join us on the picket line, and they showed up. Like a group of them showed up, and it's like a really sweet memory to me. It's just like this group of like Palestinian activists and like, you know, these union organizers, me and my coworkers, like standing together on the picket line, like in solidarity. I mean, like that's really what it's about. I mean, like solidarity is power. Solidarity is joy. Caring about each other is, you know, joy. I think that's really important. You know, that community is so essential. And obviously, it's also important to like rest and take care of yourselves, and you know, like not push yourself to the point of burnout or whatever. But I really just do think that like my joy comes from community. Like I love going to conferences like this with like other organizers, because I finally get to meet like all of y'all in person. Like I don't know, talking to my like Starbucks organizers, like I don't know, like the past few days have been like amazing. Y'all are so cool. Y'all are so fun. Like I'm really glad that I get to like meet y'all. So other people and community is how I get self-care and joy.
Yeah, we find nourishment in the folks that we're in deep relation and community with. Absolutely. As much as we pour out, we also need to be poured into. And so it's important to be amongst folks who love and support us. Leanne, yes, my beautiful sister, what are you doing to take care of yourself, and what's bringing you joy?
¿Qué me da felicidad y gozo? Estar aquí en este espacio con ustedes.
Maldi says, it sounds like they're saying only community, which is communism, socialism, whatever, will give joy. So under capitalism, they will never have joy. Maldi, that sounds like what they're saying, because that is what they're saying. As I said at the beginning, these people literally believe, and I have them on video saying this almost verbatim, that no one is free under capitalism. They really do believe that they will only be truly happy once they have achieved their revolution and abolished capitalism. So that's exactly right. No, they won't fight later. No, because they're all comrades. They will not fight later. Comrades don't fight other comrades. Members of the party don't fight other members of the party.
Reconectar, ¿verdad? En la pandemia nos enseñó cómo protegernos y cuidarnos y seguir nuestro trabajo en familia.
What brings me joy and happiness? Being in this space with you all, to be able to find ourselves together again. The pandemic taught us how to protect ourselves, and care for one another.
¿Quiénes de ustedes que estamos aquí, solamente levanten la mano, se han ido a su sabático?
How many of you here, just raise your hand, have gone on a sabbatical?
Ahí está la respuesta. La palabra sabático únicamente lo conocen los fundadores y donantes.
No, not really, Jerry. Not really. Like, I know you guys think this is not really. Like, comrades don't really like comrades are affirming. They have entire manuals about how to work through conflict with other comrades. They put a very high premium on group cohesion. As long as you are conforming to the group, you will and you're not causing trouble in some way, then you're not going to get put against the wall.
There's your answer. The word sabbatical is only known to
Give all the
funders
people in
and
that room.
donors.
The capitalists.
¿Por qué lo creen? Porque son los que tienen los fondos.
Why do you think that is? It's because they have the funds.
Para irse a un sabático. Pero, sin embargo, nosotros hemos creado estrategias, proyectos.
Guys, think about 1984. Think about in 1984. Did any members of the party in 1984, did they ever fight each other? Now, the ones that stepped out of line and became guilty of thought crime, they got dealt with, and they got dealt with severely. Either they went to the Ministry of Truth and they got tortured for a little while. Eventually, they ended up getting executed. But if they stayed in line and were a good comrade, there weren't no fighting. There wasn't any internal bickering. And that really is how their meetings work. I'm being serious about this. There is no bickering and fighting in their meetings. They really don't infight publicly a lot when we're talking about the radical revolutionary socialists. I watch all of them. I have a secret Twitter account that follows all of them. I see their interactions. Oh, by the way, can I tell you guys a piece of gossip? So, one of the authors of transgender Marxism followed me on Twitter today. And I was like, and I've been following her on my main Twitter account. Now I follow her both from my main Twitter account and from my secret Twitter account. But I was like, what are you doing, Jules? And so I immediately DM'd her. I was like, hello, new follower. What brings you here? And she hasn't answered. But this is we have watched so many presentations with this person, and I saw her show up on my follower list. I saw this happen in real time, and I was like, oh, she's on to me. Maybe she heard my podcast about Sophie and she wants me to do a podcast about her next. So that was an interesting development.
Trabajo de base comunitario. En lo personal, puedo abrazar un árbol o me gusta abrazar los árboles cuando voy en un bosque.
You know what would be my dream? You know what would be amazing? If socialists started reacting to our videos, reacting to socialists. That would be the effing best. We would get so much information if the socialists would just watch Socialism Saturday and react and say, yep, she's got it right, or no, you done fucked this up, Carlin, and let's explain how, let me explain how you fucked this up. I would love that. Socialists, can you please react to my videos and tell me what I've gotten right and wrong? Can you please offer feedback? I feel like this is a giant ethnographic experiment where we need everyone to participate. I have one perception. I'm doing the best I can to interpret things in a really nuanced way where I'm not engaging in bullshit or hyperbole. Yeah. Sophia, por favor. Sophia, por favor. I've tried. They won't come on my channel. I've tried. I've been so nice. Can you please tweet at Sophie in Spanish? Maybe she'll respond if it's in Spanish. Sophia, por favor, please react to Carlin's content.
Me gusta ir a muchos retiros. Invítenme a los retiros.
Oh, hang
Inviten a los
on.
retiros.
Hang on, I got a super chat from Rottweiler. Rottweiler says, these people aren't the Red Guard agitators who are discarded at the end. These guys are the future party. They are in lockstep. No punching to the left. Nope. I mean, like internally, like in their private discussions, they might like not agree on everything, but they don't fight publicly. Never, ever, ever.
Al lado de la playa, vamos a llamarle en el bosque.
So yeah, we need to continue creating, working on our strategies, our projects, the grassroots work that we do. Personally, what I like to do, I like to hug trees in the forest. I love going to retreats, so invite me. I love going to retreats on the beach and retreats by the forest.
Donantes y fundadores, también pongan
Thank you, bot.
un poquito de dinero para
Thank
irnos a
you.
un mini sabático, ni siquiera sabático, lo vamos a tomar, pero piensen en nosotras que también estamos haciendo el trabajo.
Donors and funders also put some money aside for us to go on a mini sabbatical, not even a whole sabbatical, but think of us who are doing the work.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I just want to name that rest and time off should not be tied to productivity.
Bot really did tweet at Sophie in Spanish, and it's cracking me up for some reason. Can everyone tweet at Sophie Lewis in Spanish and ask her to come on my channel, please? Sophie's gonna DM me on Instagram and be like, "What the fuck?" And I'm gonna be like, "Sophie, it was a last resort. You weren't answering. We had to try another language." We had to try a language of the global south, Sophie. We're using the language of the oppressed peoples to try to get your attention to come on my channel.
Because that reinforces and continues to increase this scarcity mindset amongst the most marginalized folks that you all hire in the organizations, myself included. For a long time, I worked and overworked because I thought that if I didn't produce enough, that I would be replaced. And so if I continue to reduce my capacity, what good am I to anyone else in this movement? Yes, so I just want to name that. So we're right about we're about at time, but I want to close this plenary with a call to action from each of you because you all do such impactful work. So just let folks give them a call to action. Neha, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I mentioned this earlier. There's a QR code you can sign to sign our No Contract, No Coffee pledge. Again, put pressure on your orgs and major LGBT orgs to sign on to our letter in support of queer and trans workers. I have completely forgotten the date of the sip-in. Can one of y'all stand?
Saturday, 10 to 1:30.
Okay, yes. So there's a sip-in at a store that just recently filed for election, right? Okay, awesome. So if y'all would be able to come out and support these workers, we would really appreciate it.
That's the Maple Street location? Oh, 1001 Elite. That's where I be going. All right. So 1001 Elysian Fields.
Right. I'm so sorry that I forgot the names and the address and time and all that. Being up here, my brain, I'm kind of in being on stage, my brain just kind of goes into bimbo mode just a little bit. But yeah, And also, like, I would really encourage y'all to look for like unionized Starbucks near you. If you're in a major city, there's probably one close to you.
Yeah.
If you don't want to support Starbucks, I know a lot of us have reasons not to. You can still go to like these stores, get like a Trenta cup of water. It's free. The company doesn't get anything for it, and give the workers a message of support. Order under the name Union Strong or something like that. Leave them a tip. We love tips. We love money. Like tips are how I pay for Taco Bell and weed. So
Absolutely.
so yeah, I mean, really just
Super chats are how I pay for just weed, I guess. Just weed. Thank you, Jerry, for the super sticker. I do appreciate. Or no, you had a message, but it was retracted. Jerry tweeted a message and then retracted it, but I do appreciate the super chat, I guess, Jerry. Thank you.
support workers. Like, we need your support. We're fighting this really difficult fight, and having your support, having
Beer and weed. That's it. Beer and
community
weed.
support means so
Your
much
super
to
chats
us.
will go to beer and weed.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And if you don't want to go to a Starbucks and you want to go get some black queer-owned coffee, you can go to Up and Adam Eats at 3903 Canal Street. It's one of the only black queer-owned restaurants in the city of New Orleans. Thank you. So, Pearl, give us a call to action.
Yes, I have a call to action and I have a resource for Louisiana folks. Our young people have lost access to their gender affirming care. We are fighting it in litigation, so we'll see what happens. But there is a fund with Louisiana Trans Advocates. I'm the ED for the Reproductive Justice Action Collective, or REJAC.
Okay, Jerry says, I'm confused as to how they choose their leaders. The leaders on the socialist left are the academics, the authors, and the activists, the 3 A's: academics, authors, and activists. Remember, there is no one leader. Everyone is a cog in a machine. Everyone can be replaced. That's what the collective is. There is no election for the one leader. There is none of that on the left, because they're a collectivized group. And then the people who are showing up and who are writing things that express the message of the revolution, or coordinating communication, or organizing, the organizers of the revolution, the facilitators of the revolution, those are the leaders. That's and you can self-select into this group. You can say, I'm going to be an author, or I'm going to be an academic, or I'm going to be an activist, and you show up and you produce stuff. I mean, it is actually shockingly meritocratic if we're thinking about it. But those are who the leaders are. This is another thing that people on the right don't understand, because the right is very hierarchical. The left hates hierarchies. Okay? So you cannot think like a conservative and understand how their leadership works. And if one of their leaders steps out of line, guess what? They pluck them out, they throw them away, and they replace them with someone else, because in the machine, everyone is a cog in the machine. Everyone is replaceable. Does that make sense? There is not one single leader. Everyone is an artist. So that doesn't factor in. I wrote a thing about this on my Substack not too long ago, maybe a couple months ago, so you can find out more information about it there.
Thank y'all. So there's a fund. Thank you. There's a fund with Campaign for Southern Equality, Louisiana Trans Advocates, and REJAC. It is a trans youth emergency fund. It is no to low barrier. We were just talking about joy. There's nothing you have to spend that on. So if you know families and young people that need access to $500 stipends for, maybe it's dinner, maybe it's shopping, we don't ask because it's not our business. You can do a quick search and you'll find one for Louisiana, and I know they have some for other states. So my call to action is to check that out, is to spread that information where you can. And then I have a specific call to action for funders, since we were talking about them. I want you to go back to your board and see how much more work you all can take on and take off of the people you're funding. I would love to see you have your application process, and for your application processes to be available for audio recording and video recording, for your reporting to be available through audio recording and video recording, and see how people like that, how the people you are funding like that. Once again, having at least your application process, so the next creating change, y'all can let us know. Y'all can report to us how that went. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Can I actually shout out one more thing?
Very good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to shout out one more thing. I forgot to say this. Come visit our booth. You can possibly get one of our cool T-shirts. So that was one other thing I wanted to mention.
Absolutely. Check out the booth.
Yes.
Leanne, closing us out, give us a call to action.
Oui. Inmigración, justicia del lenguaje, gente de clase trabajadora, no pobre, porque le tenemos que chingarle. Ups, mi palabrita.
Thomas, if you sat here and didn't learn anything about them because you made the choice not to learn anything about them, then yeah, this was a meaningless exercise. And I promise you, like, anytime you show up to one of my streams and you are determined to not listen to them and determined to not learn anything from what they're saying, it will be a meaningless exercise. But that's on you, bro. That's not on them. We learned a lot in this presentation. Yeah, the technology sucked. We had to fuck around with the sound. Like, this is not an ideal scenario, but that's what you get when you're watching basically a real-time presentation from 6 hours ago, right? Socialists suck at technology. But we learned that they hate philanthropy because they think philanthropy is too close to capitalism. And so they prefer people to just give them money directly. Most of this presentation was a call to give them money directly to do whatever it is that they want to do and to take the middleman out. We've heard a lot of talk about collectivism, collectivizing care. Collectivizing care is linked to the abolition of the nuclear family. We've heard a lot. We heard about how trans and union work together because they see their struggle as one and the same. We've learned a lot in this presentation. So if you're not learning, that's on you. That's not on them. This is exactly right, Maldi. Maldi says, I'm pretty new to this, but learning lots. Each new talk is a bit easier to understand what they're saying. That's part of why we do this, guys. You just need to, like I keep trying to tell people, like, socialist really is a different language. And so you just need to relax into it and kind of let it wash over you, like almost like an immersive language experience. Because even if the talk sucks, and this wasn't the greatest thing that we've ever listened to be honest. I mean, it's like okay, but it's like it's not, it's like like whatever. I'm a little disappointed in the lack of cringe, if I'm honest about it. But still, you're going to hear the cadence in how they speak. You're going to hear the rhythm in how they speak. You're going to hear the language patterns, even when they're speaking in Spanish and it gets translated to English. You're going to hear what they're concerned about. You're going to hear new words and get new definitions of things that you might not have done before. Well, Thomas, no one likes listening to them talk, but do you want to win? Do you want to understand your enemy or don't you? I mean, it really is that simple, guys. If you do not understand your enemy, you cannot defeat them. You cannot understand your enemy without listening to them. That's what this exercise is. And it gets easier. That's all I can say is it gets easier. Reagan, who has been at this for a long time, Reagan's been here like basically 3 years now. If you're new, it can be hard at first. Just keep listening and it gets much easier. You will pick up on their language. Exactly.
Pero
well, then this is your training, Thomas. This is training ground.
Es seguir repitiendo quizás algunas lo que ya hemos escuchado. ¿Realmente estamos a salve? Yo me quedo con eso, quédense con eso también. Sabemos que el mundo ha tratado de cambiarnos.
Well, then you came to the right place, Scotland.
Call to action, immigration, language justice, working class and poor folks who got to work hard to bring money home. Call to action, Basically, it's to continue repeating what we've heard here. Are we really safe? We know that the world has tried to change us.
Como poblaciones latinas, inmigrantes, indígenas y toda la diversidad negra, siempre nos han minorizado. El mundo ha tratado de cambiarnos.
So how come some socialists are bawling and most are broke as shit? Well, I mean, it's just like real life. Like some people are going to be more successful than others. Academics and successful authors make a lot more money than people who are not academics and successful authors. Like you look at someone like Angela Davis. Angela Davis has sold millions of dollars worth of books, but she's allowed to do that because she sold those books in subjugation to trying to overthrow capitalism, and so she's allowed to. So she has more money than others. Bill Ayers has more money than others. Some of like the high level academics with professorships have more money than others. But you look at the organizers. Organizers don't make a lot of money. So it's just like any other. It's just like any other political group. There are going to be people who are more successful than others, and even though you might think that's not allowed under their system, it is because they live under the oppressive force of capitalism, and so they have to live. They have to work within it in order to survive. That's a good question, though, Jerry. Keep them coming.
Haciéndonos a un lado con un sistema que nos criminaliza, que nos persigue. Pero lo que no saben, allá afuera, todas estas personas que crean esas propuestas o que nos ponen en esa marginalización olímpica, quién tiene más poder, quién no tiene poder, quién tiene más privilegios, quién no tiene privilegios. Sabemos que estamos aquí. Esta es la familia que debemos de trabajar, interno, externo. Y recuerden también.
Why would they do that? Why would they do that? They're not obligated to do that. They're allowed to engage in capitalism under their system because, like, what? Do you donate all your money to a charity or cause? Why would they do that? Why would they have any reason to give away all their money? All their money is made fighting the revolution in subservience to perpetuating the revolution. So why would they give it away? Because that's some books just sell more than other books. Like there are a lot of socialist books that you've never heard of. Some books just sell more than guys. Come on. Can hang on. No, they're not. Jesus fucking Christ, conservatives. How many times have I had to explain this? I've explained this in this stream. They are allowed to engage in capitalism because they are doing so to fight the revolution. It is literally allowed in their books. They are not being hypocritical. The reason that you think they're being hypocritical is you're not listening to them.
Descansar, no solo trabajar. Y vamos por nuestra felicidad.
I mean, I'm sorry I'm punchy today. I'm not like in the best of moods, but like I really feel like something is off about this entire day, and I don't know what it is, but like can you guys please, especially for longer time viewers, can you please just think through your own questions before you ask them? Can you think them through? Can you pretend that you've been sitting here through stream after stream after stream? Tough love, you've been to a lot of streams. I know that. You can think through your own question, bro. And then you can say something like, here's what I think is happening, Carlin. Do I have this right? Because that at least demonstrates like an effort to think through your own question, right? Use the information you already know. Use the information you already have and think through it. And then if you want to ask me if you got it right, I will answer that. But it's just like when I get asked these basic questions over and over and over again, I feel as though I've been answering this goddamn hypocrisy question for a year and a half. Like almost every single day for a year and a half and then people say, well, Carlin, you should make videos about it. I have made YouTube shorts about this. I've made short clips about it. It's just like, how many times do I have to answer this question? It's maddening. At least send in a super chat if you're going to ask me to answer the same question for the 1,000th time in the last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys sometimes try like answering the same question every single day of your life for 2 fucking years and see how much you like that.
Okay, so they tried to change us as Latine, immigrant, indigenous, Black, diverse communities. We know that the world has always tried to make us seem as if we're minorities and try to change us, creating systems that criminalize and persecute us. But those people out there who are creating these policies and trying to who marginalize us and try to create these oppression Olympics about who has privilege and who doesn't. What we really know is that we who are here, we are family, and we need to work within ourselves and outside of ourselves to accomplish the work, and remember to also rest and not just work all the time.
Y les quiero hacer una invitación que asistan a los talleres donde se están dando en español durante la conferencia. Tenemos a la compañera Ana Andrea Molina, que por ahí está, va a tener un taller en español. Tenemos también el taller de este niño de Puerto Rico, de Gerald Vega, también vaya en ese taller. Tenemos el taller de nosotros también con Dee, que vamos a hacer el futuro de Creando Cambio. Exactamente, hoy también tenemos Instituto Latine. El Instituto Latine también vamos a estar hablando.
Javier Milei is not a conservative. Javier Milei is an anarcho-capitalist. He's a libertarian. He's an anarcho-capitalist. Anyone who has said to you Javier Milei is a conservative is lying to you. He is not a conservative.
También en español. Entonces, asistan a estos eventos, a estos proyectos. Donantes y fundadores, les quiero ver ahí.
And so an invitation is for everyone here to go to the workshops that are being held in Spanish. Andrea Molina is holding a workshop in Spanish. Gerald Vega from Puerto Rico is going to be doing a workshop in Spanish. Dee and I are going to be doing a workshop on the future of creating change. And today we're having the Latina Institute in Spanish. So we just encourage everyone to attend those spaces. Donors and funders, I want to see you there.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Well, it does look like this panel is over, but it's got about a half an hour left of this. But it just looks like they might be going into some like presentation or something. And if I'm honest about it, I'm kind of over the stream. I'm kind of over it. It's been a rough stream. I'm in a pissy mood for some reason. I didn't get enough sleep last night is what happened. That's why I'm in a pissy mood. I got woken up exceptionally early today for no good reason. I'm not happy about it. So maybe we can just stop and end it there. So that's all we have for right now, guys. But a reminder before we conclude, tomorrow's stream is going to be a little different because as you guys know, we normally do happy hour on Friday at 5 p.m. and I will be sending out a notification to this. But tomorrow we are going to be getting started round about 3:30-ish with the presentation starting at 4. And that's because we're going to do a live spy stream. We're going to go inside this presentation and we're going to watch it live. I mean, I'm not saying that I put a mix in my drink that had THC in it during that presentation, but I might have put a mix in my drink that had THC. I definitely didn't do that. I would never do such a thing. I would never do that. Ever. Obviously, I'm just kidding. But tomorrow, we are going to be going inside this presentation that is out of the Kroc Institute, which is an unfortunate name. And they are doing a live presentation. This is out of the University of Notre Dame, which is not exactly some sort of slacker university. And the presentation is called Continuing the Conversation, Walking in the Spirit of Truth, Charting the Pathways to Racial Justice 2.0. And that is going to be a live presentation tomorrow. Obviously, it was CBD. Obviously, I would never get high on the internet. I would never do such a thing. I don't know why you guys spread so many rumors. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow instead of our normal spy stream at 5 o'clock. So we're going to get started a little bit earlier. I will be sending out a notification to this effect. I just found out about this a couple hours ago, so I'm sorry for lack of advance notice, but that's just the way it goes. And now I'm going to go chill and relax and get less pissy than I am right now. I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and I will see you soon. Bye.